Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and the Gyro Step Podcast Network. I am joined, as always, by my he's competing with my big board, I didn't even know it, co-host Rohan. Katti, Rohan, how's it going?
Doing well, burning, but it's fine. Not actually, I'm brown, but it's very warm out.
It's not the heat, it's the humidity. That's what they say, and they say it for a reason. It feels like walking into a hot swamp outside. Not a cold swamp, a hot swamp. Rohan, we are also joined.
Do you walk into hot swamps and cold swamps, Seth?
Well, it was supposed to be a little jokey joke because no one ever talks about a cold swamp.
No one talks about swamp. Whatever.
Someone's never been to HorrorCon, I see. Our 46 HorrorCon listeners are going to be very offended. Actually, that's a marsh. Now they're really going to be offended. I called a marsh a swamp. Anyway, we're already off the rails. Rohan, we are also joined for the first time by Gyro Step executive producer Eugene Choursoutoglou. Please correct me. I know I'm working on the pronunciation, but straight.
It was pretty good.
Pretty good, he says. Eugene, welcome. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure as well. And we're excited to have you on board as we dive into our big boards. The draft is like 9 days away somehow, 8 days away as you're listening to this. It is Thursday, June 22nd at sometime at night, probably like 6, who knows. 23rd, excuse me. The Bucks have currently just the 24th overall pick as the NBA robbed them of their second round pick in this draft. And we hope they use it. I can say this confidently because I saw Rohan just today tweeted that he hopes the Bucks use the pick. I also hope the Bucks use the pick. They could trade it. We'll probably get into some possibilities of that nature at some point. But for now, let's actually talk about the prospects because we've been promising to do this for a long time. And I'm proud of us. We got it done before the draft came and went. So Rohan, before we dive into the specific names, what is your thought on the caliber of player that seems available at 24? We both covered the same list of 11. We can go down how we ranked them. But what were your thoughts on these 11 players who we assume at least a couple should be there when the Bucks are on the board, if they're on the board?
I think it's fairly strong. There's players who are capable of making an impact not only for next season as rookies, if they have a chance given the Bucks system, but just down the road, they have a chance to develop. There's a lot of players here with good tools, good just sort of basketball intangibles, as you would say, as you're preparing for a draft deep dive. But no, I think there's some good quality players here. And I already know this, Ty. We disagree on a lot of these players.
Oh boy, I'm excited. So you have the advantage. You've seen I shared my thoughts on the Substack. Find the post at gspn.info under the Substack button. You can find that's the latest post as of we're recording this, probably, unless who knows what the crew is up to. But I don't know your order at all. So should we go down my board and then we can share both our thoughts on each players and where you have them ranked on yours?
I think we should do the opposite because people already know what your board is because they've already read the Substack piece, Ty.
Fair. I mean, we're assuming a lot. I think a lot of people see Ty Windisch, dip the pen, I'm clicking off. But fine, fair. Let's go the Rohan show. Welcome, everyone, to the Rohan show. Take it away.
So my number one player, again, these are only from players that Ty had mocked on his big board. Players.
Should we share the list first or no?
Yes.
Okay, so quickly.
Here, let's just go based on your list.
Yeah, I'll just run down my order. So EJ Liddell, Walker Kessler, Christian Braun, Kennedy Chandler, Tari Issa, I think. And actually, sorry, it's Christian Brown, not Braun. It's spelled Braun, pronounced Brown. Christian Coloco, Jaylen Williams, Dalen Terry, Marjan Beauchamp, Nikola Jovic, and Patrick Baldwin Jr.
Yes, that is the list. And number one on my big board is Christian Coloco.
Really? So we have the centers flip-flopped. I have actually been literally pestering random people to ask them why they have these two ordered the way that they are. I thought they were fairly close, although I ended up having Kessler like 3 spots higher. Why do you like Coloco so much?
Well, you start off with the pros. Like I just broke down pros and cons list. He's big. He's not like an undersized big. He's a solid like 6'11", 220. Still has room to grow. only 22 years old, which again, that's a little older for a draft prospect, but compared to what the Bucks like to do, it's right in their sweet spot. He's a great defender already, great in the paint, great as a help defender, very switchable. He's comfortable switching out on the perimeter. He's a great finisher. He has soft touch, soft hands, but he's also capable of rising up and throwing it down. He has good passing vision, even though he wasn't asked to do a lot of that in college. But when he was able to draw sort of backline defenders with his ball handling ability and just sort of, make good dump off passes. Where you get into the cons, it's very evident right away, right? He's not a threat from distance, not the greatest shooter of all time. He is, what did he shoot? 72.2% from the free throw line junior year, which does give me some encouragement considering that was up from 55% his freshman and sophomore year. I use free throw percentage a lot because I feel like that's a decent indicator of how people are going to perform at the NBA level. I don't really take like college 3-point percentage into effect that much, considering it's a different distance, it's a different field, different floor. So free throw, he was able to improve his mechanics, and he's still kind of raw. That could be looked at as a pro, that could be looked at as a con, but he does have room to develop. And I think the base there is already super solid. He can sort of be that Brook Lopez successor, but he also has room to get better. And like I said, the switchability is very, very, very important to me as we move forward with this Bucks team. But Ty, tell me what you think about Christian Koloko.
It's almost hard for me to have and I almost want to just turn this now into Koloko versus Kessler, because they are the two true bigs that we considered. I think that I would at least call true bigs, like drop center kind of bigs, both like 7-foot-ish, huge guys. So I saw Koloko as probably more switchable than Kessler. I saw the same thing you did with regard to free throw percentage, and that was a big plus for me with Koloko. He also got to the line more than Kessler did. Kessler took like 23s, I think, his sophomore year, his last year, and made barely any. He shot 20% on them. So between that and the free throw, you wouldn't expect either, honestly, to be much of a shooter, but Koloko at least has the free throw. I just, the fact that he's already 22, I don't love. A raw 22-year-old in itself is not the most promising formula, I guess, for long-term NBA success. I don't think it would be a bad pick, but I have kind of seen, I think, Koloko is starting to slip, maybe for that reason. Also, the sample is just pretty limited. I mean, you look at his freshman and sophomore seasons, he was like 2 points and then 5 points. The same is true of Kessler, but I just, it's a little worrying that it took him so long to become a force at Arizona. But I do think
he didn't start playing basketball until he was like 16.
Yeah, I saw he went to Sierra Canyon, which is obviously a good place to go. I get it. We've certainly seen players like this succeed. I'm not saying he for sure won't, but
a big man from Cameroon who hasn't played basketball that long. Did someone say Embiid?
Did Embiid play in college?
Yeah, he played in Kansas.
That's what I thought. Let's look at Joel Embiid's Kansas stats and see how they compare to Koloko. I think it's going to be quite the difference.
I was kidding, but go off.
Well, yeah, I just wanted. I mean, the thing about the pod is there are people who will hear that and be like, "No, that's a great point, Rohan. He's literally Embiid."
It was a great point.
It was not. Embiid played 1 year and averaged 11 and 8 on 23 minutes a game, despite having like no back, no legs, etc. All this stuff Embiid deals with. I don't know. I like Kessler too. Maybe I even dropped him too far. I feel like I might have gotten influence from outside. Like I said, I just keep seeing him dropping in boards. But I think I went with Kessler higher. The block numbers are just freaking insane. And I don't think Koloko is that much more mobile. I think he is, but I don't think it's a crazy difference. So that's why
he is more mobile and he is more physical.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The age scares me.
Let's talk about Walker Kessler right now.
I know it won't scare John Horst, but it scares me.
Yeah. Walker Kessler was third on my board.
Oh, okay.
So again, I had a tough time sort of telling the difference between the two. But my thing with why I dropped Walker Kessler is, one, he's also an awful shooter and has shown no improvement whatsoever. He struggles a lot in terms of like actually getting to his spots. I've literally wrote no bag under my cons. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have a bag. Like Hooper Twitter is going to be all over it. But like good, he's younger, relatively young. He's almost 21 years old. But I don't know, just like he's not as switchable. Like you can't switch him onto guards like you would Coloco. He's just going to get cooked on the perimeter. If you want him to just like excel as a drop defender, sure, he can do that. But I think Coloco offers more tools.
That is what I want, though. And that's why I had Kessler second, is I want the drop defender, man. I mean, we've seen Brook can go out to the perimeter a bit, and that's good. And I think eventually maybe Kessler could as well, though I'm certainly not going to project him to be a 5-out kind of player. But I just feel like, I don't know if it's every draft you get a guy who you're like, oh yeah, he would just be a great drop center, falling right into your projected range with the Bucks pick. And I think it's probably not a coincidence. Right before we started recording, I checked the latest Ringer, which is just a couple days old, and ESPN, which is a bit older. And both of them mock Walker Kessler to the Bucks, which probably is. I'm going to guess not intel at this point, although you never know. We'll see what happens draft day. I'll never forget Thon Maker just shooting up boards right to 10, like right before the draft, and we were like, "Oh no, this is not a guess."
Hey, don't you disrespect my boy,
Thon Maker, I should say.
Yeah, don't you talk smack about Thon.
But I do think just the fit as a drop defender makes so much sense for Kessler, and I'm fine if he's a little worse at other things. 4.6 blocks per game in 25 minutes. He just swats everything.
That's easy to do when you're a 7-footer in college.
It wasn't for Koloko.
Well, Coloco's not a 7-footer.
I thought he was. The sports ref has them both at 7'1".
Oh, I think Coloco's a bit shorter.
He might be. Who knows with listing? They're both very big humans. Was one of my takeaways. Although I think Kessler does have like 20 pounds. I don't know. I think he's certainly way more limited on offense than I think that he's more limited than Coloco. He's way more limited than a Brook Lopez for sure. He's a really good role finisher, which I don't know how much use the Bucks would get out of that. But he shot 70% from 2, still shoots nearly 61% from the field, despite missing all of his threes. And he didn't take that many, but it was still a not insignificant portion of his shots, 1.5 threes per game, basically 8 shots per game for Kessler. So I think certainly the tools are limited offensively, and that would be the hardest part to figure out. And that is ultimately why I moved him off of 1 on my list. But I just really like the defensive potential for a team that loves the drop. And I think especially get him working with Brook Lopez for a year or longer, but at least a year. And I really like the kind of player you could get long-term as your starting center, even if he's not your finishing center, which I think some people would be disappointed by that with this pick. I don't know. I think that's a pretty damn useful player at 24 overall.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's funny that we both went with centers.
Yeah,
at the top,
near the top for me, at the top for you. Let's. Let's have Eugene.
Who you
split.
got? Walker Kessler, Christian Coloco.
I was about to mention as well. I think I would pick a center as well for my first choice. I haven't ranked my picks, but if I did, I think I would have either Kessler or Coloco. I think I would prefer. I like both of them because you don't find true bigs really easily. Kessler is a true big. I'm not sure about Coloco. I think Coloco is a little smaller, but I like some things in both of them. In Coloco, I like his switchability. He does this great, but some of Kessler's defensive stats are incredible. His blocks, for example, I don't know if that can translate in the NBA. He looks like a guy that needs to put on some weight, needs to put on some muscles. He needs to hit the weight room with Giannis and Pat. I think I would prefer a guard or a big for the 24th pick for the Bucks. So both of these guys would be nice, would be interesting, and especially Kessler. He's a 7'1", I think. So it's not every day that you get a 7-footer with some great defensive stats. So yeah.
It looks
I
like
have Jordan Tresky in the making, Utah.
Yeah, that was some impressive fence sitting, Eugene. So it looks like the Ringer has, this might be like combine stats. So they have Kessler at 7.25 inches tall. Let me see if I can find Coloco. I don't
He's at
think
6'10.75.
Oh wow, so he's not okay. So they're both listed at 7'1". Kessler's pretty close. Coloco, they were like, yeah, just put down whatever number you want, man. That's 3 inches off. Like seriously.
Yeah, which is why it's like he plays a little undersized too compared to Walker.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say compared to Walker, but he'd be a top 1% height for NBA players, or close. Still two big guys. It's not like we're talking about a 6'8" center or something like that. I do think Kessler is bigger. Coloco's still big. So yeah, I kind of agree with Eugene that I wouldn't be super mad at either, but I do start to worry about pick value. Given that I'm seeing Coloco go in like the 30s a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. Should we go to number 2 on my board?
Real quick.
Yeah.
If the Pacers, you're John Horst today. Congrats. If you all could be John Horst.
Yeah.
I hit my pop filter. GSPN.info, play the Bucks offseason simulator. You too could be John Horst. This is not part of it yet. The Pacers call you. They say, hey, we'd like to move up a bit. We'll give you 31 and the Cavs first pick in 23 for 24. What are you saying?
So the Pacers are giving me 30 in exchange for 24.
31.
What? 31 in exchange for.
They're giving you 31 and the Cavs first next year for 24.
I might take that.
So if I had to do it before the draft started, I honestly don't know. I think it would really come down to the wire. If I could see the board, I think that makes the decision a lot different.
Fair. That's fair.
If my top 2 are gone, I take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because that's just good asset management. And I think we talked about this last year, but 31 is a nice contract to have. You can actually save some money off rookie scale, although you lose some team control for that too.
Hmm.
But I think you could totally get Coloco at 31. So like your perfect draft. You do that, you pick up Coloco at 31, you sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal if you want to use part of the MLE, and then you get another first pick next year, which could be super beneficial.
Exactly.
Anyway, okay, next on your board. Oh, go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah. No, I think I would consider that, but not before the draft, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2 on my board, Ty, you're going to love this. Marjan Beauchamp.
Wow, really? I would be stunned if the Bucks took him, to be honest with you.
Why do you say that?
He's so raw. He's younger, I think, and I just thought he did not show me enough.
He's almost 22.
Is he really almost 22? So he's not younger. But I think he just seems so theoretical. And I don't want the Bucks to take him because I think he might be good. It's not that I don't see the vision with Beauchamp. I don't think he would ever play. And I feel like we've just seen this movie with too many Bucks prospects who were like, oh yeah, there might be something there. And I think Wara might have played the most or had the most actual opportunity out of like the Wara, Sterling, Brown group. I know Sterling played in the playoffs a little bit, but it felt like never really had a consistent role. And I could just see Beauchamp. I think there'd be some flashes, but if the team is fairly healthy and there were some vets, I'm just not sure Bud would ever play him. And it would just feel like the classic frustrating, like he gets one of his team options, but not both picked up and he doesn't really play. And then he goes to the Raptors and everyone's like, oh my God, what a reclamation project this is. I don't know. If he showed me more on-ball creation or shooting, I think I'd be more in. The fact that I didn't see enough of either makes me just worry that he wouldn't be productive enough early. And I kind of want someone who can play a little bit to start.
Okay, so let's dive into who this guy is. He's just over 6'5", 200 pounds, almost 22 years old. He's athletic. He plays like a wing, not like a guard, but he has a great handle. He's capable of playing off ball in terms of coming off different actions and like being able to be a secondary or tertiary creator. He's a good on-ball defender. He is a good off-ball defender. He's an intelligent defender. He is he has a good wingspan, but he's also capable of fighting through screens in the sense that he's a very intelligent defender. And you said he struggles as a shooter, which is fair. He has struggled as a shooter. The mechanics are there, though. Like when you watch his jumper, it looks fluid, it looks quick, it looks crisp. And so I think the tools are there. He did better in high school than he did with the Ignite team. But I think there's something there. I've talked about before that I want someone on this Bucks team who's just an athlete. This dude's an athlete. Like if he can actually develop under, just Box University, is that what, are we still calling it that?
What did you call it?
Box University?
I think we're just going with Wing University.
Wing University?
Yeah,
okay.
Wing U.
If he can actually develop through Wing University, that'd be incredible. Can you imagine this guy he could be better than what Pat is now because he has a better handle. He has a better sense of the floor, a better vision. And he also has the tools that Pat has. He can be a great shooter. He can be a good, strong defender.
I like the vision. I want players who are a little closer. And that's really the bottom of my list is pretty much all guys who are like, you can see like, yeah, their 90 percentile outcome is you'd love to have that guy at 24. But I just don't know what the percentage is they actually get there, and most crucially with the Bucks. And I think the Pat one is interesting because, it's hard to not invoke Pat when you talk about young, unfinished product wings, because that's what you dream about, right? And the Bucks did it once with one unfinished wing player, and so far really only one. I mean, Chris developed too, but in the Bud era primarily, it's been Pat is the guy who's really come along. And it's kind of interesting. This could almost be like maybe this is a post-draft, post-free agency, like the real meat of the offseason pod. But why did Pat work? Why did Pat get to play it first when he really wasn't that good of a shooter? Is it just defense and effort or the rebounding or what is it exactly? I'm not even sure, but I think you need to find enough of it, which is why I have a player who kind of reminds me a bit of Pat pretty high on my board because I think it would be easy. I'm intrigued by Beauchamp, and if they drafted him, I think I'd be excited because I think it would signal to me that they feel good about him being the second guy to graduate from Wing U truly with the Bucks. I don't know. I'm just not sure I see it.
It's just I'm playing potential here.
Yeah.
And you got to take these risks when you're like this sort of a Bucks team, right? Like if you're talking about the guys like Sterling Brown, like Jordan Nwora, who didn't work out, why would you go down that same path again? At least try and get someone who's like, oh, this guy could pop, especially in a great system. Like he's going to be learning defense, like how to navigate screens through Drew Holiday. He's going to be learning offensive role play through Pat Connaughton. He's going to be learning how to get shots off the dribble from Chris Middleton. Like, come on, this is a great situation for good players to be, sort of coming up in.
Can I say what I really like about him is his athleticism. And we were talking during the season that we did not have a lot of athletic wings, a lot of players that could, poster or just jump high enough to grab a rebounder and do some of the stuff that it's needed because the Bucks had a roster with older players, experienced players, and so when you have that, you add experience, you add some things like this, but you lack other things. And athleticism is huge in the NBA today. So what I like about him is his athleticism, but I'm not convinced by his shooting. I don't think he has a lot to show other than his athleticism, but I agree with Rohan. If you can trust him, you can work on him, and you might get a lot of great work out of him. So you never know with this type of guys.
Yeah, I think what's funny about you mentioning, Sterling and Nwora is it feels like they're kind of chasing the high of Brogdon with some of these older players who have played a few years. And I think that is it's a good idea. I won't say the right idea, like there's only one good idea with drafting, but I think it is a good idea to look for players like that. And I do think Brogdon was, not that he was older. He was a super old rookie, and they shouldn't necessarily always take really old rookies. But he was very polished when he came out, and I do think I kind of disagree. I think going for guys like that is just fine even if they're already closer to their ceiling, if their floor and ceiling are pretty darn high overall, I don't have an issue with that. I would not be mad if the Bucks did take a 22-year-old.
Even the Brogdon thing, it didn't work out. He left.
Yes, it did. Well, that doesn't mean the pick didn't. That was a great pick.
Oh, it was a great pick. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
talking about long-term process.
But that's not. I think that's that's a different issue.
That's fair.
That's a different issue.
I don't know. I see guard with guard forward with 7'1" wingspan and get very excited.
That's fair. No, but I just think if they draft Brogdon this year, they're going to win a couple titles before they let him leave again.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone walks in the door,
Pacers call, you just trade for Brogdon.
The money doesn't work.
I know.
That's why you got to draft. Honestly, I've been thinking about this. I think you can probably you have a shot to win a title if you just improve a bit around the margins and bring everyone back and stay healthy. I think you have a shot to be a special team going forward if you can bring in a guy better than Brook. That's that's the line for the Bucks, right? You expect everyone they bring in, or at least I do. We should probably expect them to be worse than Brook Lopez to not be the fourth best player on the team. If they can find someone better, or Brook Pat, whatever you want to decide that line is. If they could find someone better, whether it's really nailing this pick, I don't know how they'd find that player in free agency. My guy John Wall, maybe, who knows? That's where I think that this next year could get really oh man, what do they do here? So drafting Brogdon right now would be fire. If they found that result, that'd be great at 24 to me. But we'll just agree to disagree on Marjan.
Okay, I'll agree to agree with you as well.
If we can do that. We're both high on the big, so that's good.
We are. Next up on my list, number 4 overall on my big board, Dalen Terry.
I'm shook by your order and some of the guys, actually one guy you're dropping in particular.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I know who you're talking about.
So tell me about Dalen Terry.
I see the vision there. You're but would you say no to Evan Turner on this Bucks team?
Yes.
Prime Evan Turner?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't love the fit.
Why?
The thing about even Beauchamp, going back to that, of the part of his upside is handling the ball. I don't know. Would this guy really handle the ball that much? I suppose if he's good at it off rip.
You're comfortable if the ball gets to him, you're comfortable with them making a play. I think that's it. You want people capable of dribbling the ball, not necessarily we're going to put this guy in positions where it's okay, he's going to be the guy running the actions. It's going to be if the ball gets to him, are you comfortable with him making a play? And if not, he's not going to be playable.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So with Dalen Terry, you get a guy who's younger. He's sub 20. He's 19 years old right now, which
John
would be
Horst
a
is throwing this card out of the room, saying no shot.
He is like a lot of the players who are super high for me. Great on and off ball defender. He's a decent enough shooter. I might be pulling a number 37 in my justification here by saying he's shooting near 37% on spot up threes.
Yeah.
I might have just talked myself out of it right now.
That's the thing with that. And he is tiny, dude. Not height wise, but strength wise.
Yeah. 6'6", sub 200. I trust the Bucks training staff.
Yeah, he needs Suki, Pat, and Giannis for sure.
I trust them enough where it's if you can get a guy with a solid frame, they can do work with it and get this guy to where he needs to be. So I'm not super worried about that. I'm more worried about is he too bad of a shooter?
Yeah.
Does he struggle too much getting to his spots? Is he just genuinely not strong enough? Is he not capable of putting on more muscle? That's what I'm concerned about. That's why, he's below Beauchamp for me, because I feel like those guys are sort of similar build, but in the sense that Terry's younger, but he has a lot more question marks in terms of his development track.
Yeah, I think overall kind of quiet college production, which I know is certainly far from an end-all be-all, but it's something I kind of look at just to see what a player has been able to do so far. When you're looking at, this is probably the premium player acquisition vehicle for the Bucks, a team certainly aiming to contend. I do want someone who's proven their production more. It's not like Terry did nothing, but it's just somewhat quiet, younger player. The shot is a question mark, concerns me a little bit. You don't want a guy. The problem with the Evan Turner idea is okay, if Giannis is kicking him the ball out to him, he doesn't want to shoot open threes, and he's now driving into a bunch of defenders who are coalesced around Giannis and Brook. that's obviously not ideal. So I don't love the fit. I like a big playmaker. You know, the 100 percentile result is like probably Iguodala. Evan Turner is the pretty good result. The bad result is like Denzel Valentine, which nobody wants. He's probably going to be better. He's better defensively than Denzel. I shouldn't say that, but
just ragging on Denzel.
hey, man, he scored 2 more points per game this year than Ben Simmons. I'll say that much. I was arguing. It wasn't even arguing, but I was looking at years where the 14th pick was better than the first pick as part of a bit today in one of my group chats. And 2 years in recent memory, it's happened. But
okay.
Denzel versus Ben is not one of the years I'm counting, by the way. Okay. I don't actually believe that.
I don't know what's happening, but
that was a journey. That's unless Eugene has a thought on Terry, we can go to your next player. I don't have too many more thoughts on aspirations of Evan Turner.
I like him. I think he's big for a guard, and I actually think Bud would like him too, because Bud prefers bigger guards, and the Bucks have some big guards. And for example, let's see at the playoffs, he was picking George Hill instead of Carter. Fans were going crazy, but he did. I think he likes big guards, and I think he can become something. He can have a role similar to George Hill's. I don't know about his shooting though. Not something to go crazy about. He also needs a lot of strengthening, as you mentioned. I don't think he's on the top of my list, but I like a couple of characteristics of his, and I think he would actually fit in their system. Yeah.
It's a good point on big guards.
Yeah, it is. Next up on my list is Christian Braun.
I just pulled up his sports reference. I had a feeling.
Not just because it'd be cool to see another Milwaukee athlete wearing BRAUN on the back of their jersey.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Check out Cruising for a Bruising, by the way. Also check out gspnstore.com if you're watching this on YouTube. Or just anywhere.
Or if you're not.
No, it's like I showed something.
Yeah,
so check that out.
It's great, I confirm.
So we got another guy who's around like the 6'5", 6'6" range, 205 pounds. He's 21 years old. He's a good defender. He's athletic. He has solid passing vision. He fits the mold of Pat Connaughton, Dante DiVincenzo, Grayson Allen sort of build.
I think he plays like Pat, but he looks like Grayson, is my take.
I think he looks like all three of them.
And he has the resume of Dante.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's fair. Which is, it's good. You can't have too many wings who are athletic and are capable of shooting well. That's just something where it's like, if that's a guy, you're like, yeah, I wouldn't feel terrible about that pick.
Yeah.
What concerns me a bit is, even though he has like solid shooting chops, his jumper is a little bit slow, which concerns me because it's like, how is that really going to translate to the game where defenders are a lot quicker in terms of their rotations? How are you going to work on like coming off pin downs or anything like that? There's a reason he didn't run a lot of those in college, is because it's tough for him to get those types of shots off with his jumper. And especially the guy who's shooting like 73% from the free throw line, just someone who's billed as like a shooter as one of their strengths, that scares me when it's slow and it doesn't translate to the free throw line. He also does not really have that much of a game inside. He's not really a great finisher, though I know you've talked about in your Substack article about like, oh, we used to knock Pat for his finishing, but then he managed to clean that up. We still need to figure out what Pat did last offseason to finish really well, like this last season.
Bought a bunch of condos and...
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe the strength to go out and refinish his new apartment complexes is just like, oh yeah, this is how you finish a layup. Like, I don't know. I tried.
Yeah.
This I might have him too high here.
I feel the same way a little bit.
I like the archetype of player, just like an athletic wing, but he doesn't really excite me too much.
He kind of excites me. I mean, it's a boring-ish pick. It would be a very Bucksy pick, an older player who excelled in the national championship game, all that. But I think
he's quite the player.
Yeah, he's quite the player. He's a good rebounder. He shot really well from the field overall and from two, despite not being a great finisher. I think the same way that you would bank in some strength improvements, I think the Bucks would probably help out a little bit with the shot. I think, honestly, as funny as it may sound, like working with Pat Connaughton, we're hoping that he resigns, would probably be great for Brown because I think Pat's form has gotten a lot quicker and more streamlined, and clearly that work, I don't know how much the Bucks were involved there, but clearly Pat would be able to impart some wisdom. I think the fact that he's not just a guy who shoots, he's a very athletic player who has a jumper, makes me a little less worried about the exact shot mechanics concerns. Like if he was an okay athlete who shot like this, it'd be like, yeah, okay, not as interested. I think what's funny is you read like the breakdowns or watch the scouting report videos or whatever, and it'll be like, oh, he's going to struggle to become a creator in the half court. And it's like, is that really what you're looking for if you draft Christian Braun? I don't care. I don't ever want him trying to create in the half court. I'm fine if he never does that. He's a menace in transition, which is good. I think as effective as a lot of the Bucks are around Giannis in transition, I feel like there's not that many guys who will take the ball and pound it for the Bucks in transition outside of Giannis. So adding another one of those would be a nice thing, I think. And I like the shot. I like the fact that you can see kind of the role he would step into already. I think you could project him to probably be a better defender than Grayson at some point, hopefully. He does have a minus wingspan of an inch, which sucks. I think if he had a big wingspan, I'd be a lot more excited. I could see myself moving him down my board as we get closer to the draft, but I do think like a safe, solid pick I would not be upset with.
I think he looks like people compare him to Pat Connaughton, but I think he actually, I think Grayson is closer to him than Pat is. But if you draft him, then you have three similar players. That's what doesn't sit well with me because
maybe you do. Let's see how this offseason goes. Could be only one of those guys after this offseason. But yeah. I see what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a huge possibility. But let's assume they keep Grayson because he has a contract at the end of the day. So I think it doesn't make a lot of sense getting a guy there with similar characteristics to Pat and Grayson. I'm not. I don't love him as a player, but I think he can. If he can learn from Pat, he can become great. He can become a Kevin Herder. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah.
The Hawks.
This is as out as you've been on any of these guys, I think.
Yes. Because I think we have similar players. He doesn't offer anything different. For example, great defense or crazy athleticism, like some guys that we talked about before. So yeah, he can become a Kevin Herder, but he can become a Dante DiVincenzo very easily. And I don't think if we can experience a second Dante around here.
As long as he doesn't tweet at me, I think I don't know. It's not a bad result with a 24th pick, but I see what you're saying.
John Hollinger is super high on Dante.
Oh God, yeah, $15 million a year for Dante DiVincenzo. It would be hilarious.
That's too funny. Next up on my list, what number are we at? 6? Yeah, 6th overall. On my big board is Tari Issa.
Oh my! Is this a bit?
No.
I don't understand how far EJ Liddell is dropping.
We'll talk about it.
Oh my goodness.
We'll talk about it. Tari Issa. He's a little bit bigger. He's like 6'8", 220 pounds. 21 years old. An insane defender on and off ball. He thrives also in the open floor in terms of like if you can run out on the break, he is going to like cause havoc getting to the rim. He's so long. He's so athletic.
I think
he's also capable of kicking it out. Go ahead.
So sorry. I think he's the most athletic of the 11 players in the open court.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But that sort of can play. I also wrote in my prose, I literally wrote, he got that dog in him. he does. Like he plays with an intensity where like, yeah, you want this guy on your team. I feel like he's going to project to be one of those guys where it's like you hate playing against him, but if he's on your team, you'll love it. I'm not saying he's going to be like Kyle Lowry or Marcus Smart, but he has the capability of playing like one of those guys in terms of intensity, in terms of effort, in terms of just like getting in the opposing team's head. I think he can do that. Where you start to lose it a little bit is like he has kind of a loose handle. You don't really want him dribbling the ball for prolonged periods of time. Which is, if all the time he's going to be handling is in the open court, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But he can develop it. He plays well as a center, which is kind of tough considering he's not even he's like 6'7", 6'8", and he's kind of skinnier. Like that's going to be tough in the NBA. Like you can get away with that sort of stuff in college because you have overwhelming athleticism. But at the NBA level, I don't necessarily know how that's going to translate. And even at the collegiate level, he struggled with fouls. That's going to be a tough scene in the NBA for Eason, considering, like I just said, he's going to be like a lot smaller than a lot of the players he's going to be going up against. But I do think the athleticism, just the defensive prowess is there. And that's the upside pick in terms of can you develop an offensive game for this guy while also having the skill of defense already there? That's the question. Do you want to actually like sort of get a guy who doesn't have much of an offensive skill set but is also like an elite defender, or do you want to sort of a mix of both from the jump?
Yeah, he does have a strong wingspan. For me, I think the main issue with Eason was I just don't know what he's going to do on the Bucks on offense. Like, I think defensively, for sure, like it's all there. And I think there is a lazy Kawhi Leonard comp you could make here just because his hands are almost as big as Kawhi's. And Kawhi has insane hands, so does Eason for his height. I think it's, he's going to be a weapon in transition. He's going to be, I think, a very strong defender at the very strong, like at the minimum. I would be shocked if he did not become a good NBA defender or above average at least. I just don't know what he's going to do on offense. The shot is like questionable. The handle is questionable. I just feel like a player like that, when you go small, it's easier. And we've certainly seen the Bucks accommodate players who aren't great shooters before. But I just don't know if you're a little worried about him being like you can't say stretch four, but the power forward with Giannis at the 5, I just don't know what the role really is. Like, if he's not going to be one of your two quote-unquote bigs, I don't know if he's going to provide enough offensively. So that's my biggest concern with him. But, I mean, I like this as a project better than Beauchamp. Like, I think I see it more here, and I like the tools a lot. And if he did become like a 37% free throw shooter, then it's like, okay, this is like a Grant Williams-ish kind of player, which is...
That's a 37% free throw shooter.
Oh, sorry, 3-point shooter. If he becomes a 37% free throw shooter, then I'm going to see him in Oshkosh a lot.
You might not even see him in Oshkosh.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm excited for the Herd this season, though. You know what player he reminds me of?
Who?
Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good comp.
He's less polished on the offensive end, obviously, but just the defensive skills are there. And it's not like McDaniels is like a star on the ball or anything. But if he can become that sort of player, that'd be kind of cool.
But would that player help the Bucks that much?
I don't know.
That's the question. Because, I mean, like with Cat and D'Lo and Ant, I mean, Ant's not a great shooter, but I feel like Cat is one of those players who's just like spacing is just so much easier and different because he doesn't need to be obviously anywhere near the paint to be effective. I don't know. That's my hang up. I just think it's not that I don't think Tari Issa's going to be a good player. I just don't know if he's going to be a good player within the Bucks.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that I haven't really checked on, but from what I've seen, I know that he's athletic. As I said before, I would love for the Bucks to get an athletic guy in this draft. Now, yeah, I get the concerns about his offensive role. If they give Bobby, then he can play in some schemes with Giannis as a 4 and Giannis as a 5, and play some nice defense. But I don't know how they can work out his offense out. I don't think he was a great 3-point shooter, around 35%, right?
Yeah, I think like 36 his second year.
36, yeah.
Yeah, 35.9, 24% his first year. But it's kind of funny. He shot 57% from free throws a freshman in Cincy, and then 80% his sophomore year. So whichever of those numbers ends up being more accurate is going to say a lot about Tari Issa's potential, I think.
Yeah, and free throws are an indicator, I think, for what he's going to shoot later in mid-range, in the mid-range area.
Yeah.
At least it can be an indicator. Yeah, I think he's an interesting project, as you mentioned, Ty. He's certainly an interesting choice. I wouldn't pick him necessarily, but I can see why the Bucks could do something like that.
He's the most PJ Tucker-esque player.
Is he?
I think out of these 11, it's close.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Rohan.
Okay. Next up is Jaylen Williams.
No, what? Come on. Oh my God. Let's just get through Jaylen Williams. I don't even have that much on Jaylen Williams.
So Jaylen Williams, another 6'6" guy. He's a little strong, a little more weight, 235 pounds, 21 years old. Great handle, great as a playmaker, but he's also capable of playing off ball, which is going to be a lot of his role if he was to be a Milwaukee Buck. One thing I love about Jaylen is that he is a great cutter. That is one thing I've wanted on the Bucks for a long, long time. Someone who is really, really intelligent in terms of reading defenses and knowing where to position themselves. He is great at that. He's also an engaged defender. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the best defender because he can get beat off the dribble a little bit because he doesn't have much of a burst. He's not like a super athlete or anything. So he can sort of get beat off the dribble in that sense, lost defensively that sense. It's not going to be lost in terms of you're not going to get beat. Like he's not going to beat you on defense by like getting lost or being inattentive or anything. It's literally going to be physical capabilities. That's what's going to lose him, which is why he's super low on my board. In the sense that, he can be a good defender. I think the offensive upside is really promising in the sense that he can have the ball in his hands. He cannot have the ball in his hands. And either way, he's going to be very, very effective. Just the vision, the court vision is there. Like the basketball IQ is off the charts. So that's the upside there. But just like a lack of a burst is really the downside there.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think I generally like taking bets on players like this who, from the wing position can pass the ball. He had basically a 2 assist to turnover, which is pretty darn strong, especially considering the scoring he did. His efficiency from 2 has been consistent. Was not playing the highest level of competition at Santa Clara, it is worth saying, but the tools are there. I think for me, I have him fairly low, a combo of the burst thing, which you just never know how much that will impact a player, especially, like I said, if he is at Duke or whatever and going up against at least better NCAA guys. I think I'd buy in a little more. It's a slightly bigger question mark for me playing in the West Coast Conference. I mean, you get Gonzaga, but after that, it's not the best teams. You're going up against Portland and San Diego and whatever else. The other thing for me is the shot, which is why I dropped him a bit. It looked really good his junior year from all sorts of different looks. But a guy who shot 35% his freshman year, then 27% on less volume. He didn't play as many games his sophomore year, and then 39.6 this year. So maybe he's just discovered something. He's been a pretty good free throw shooter all along. Maybe that's just here to stay. I think he is a good shooter. I'm just not 100% sure. So that combined with the pop issues just made me question him a little bit. But I would like the upside on this gamble for Milwaukee.
I think isn't he a good catch and shoot 3-point shooter?
44.3% on catch and shoot threes.
Yeah, that's great. this could work out for the Bucks. I mean, he's catch and shoot 3-point shooting. Yeah, as you mentioned, I would be a little concerned of his lack of quickness. But I've seen him play, not see him play live, but I saw some mock drafts, and I think he's higher. They have him around 15 to 16. The Ringer, I think, has him 18.
Yeah, they have him 18 right now to... What team is this to? I don't know. Somewhere.
It's weird because they value him pretty highly, but I don't really see why. I think I would compare him to OG Anunoby, maybe. Not very quick, but he can do a lot of stuff around the court. Also an interesting choice for the Bucks. Yeah, I think he's one of the best choices I think they have.
The Bucks they have a first round pick and might take someone who's like OG Anunoby. Are we trading for Grievous Vasquez again?
God, don't even bring that up, man. You know I don't want to hear about that trade ever. He is mocked by the Ringer 21 to the Nuggets, who would be a fun player to play with Jokic. Would also, I think, be a fun player to play with Giannis. I could see myself moving up Jaylen a spot or two.
Someone who can create his own shot is really cool.
It is nice
at this pick.
But I would just like someone who I trust to do it a little bit more, I think. But he did lead his team in assists the last 2 years, so it's not like he's no slouch with the ball.
Yeah, it's just the defense that's concerning to me. Otherwise, he'd be higher because he has everything else you'd need. It's just the defense. The defense is here. The issue. Okay, Ty, let's talk about EJ Liddell.
Okay, I was gonna say if you have Jovic or Baldwin above EJ Liddell, I'm gonna flip a table. I could see Kennedy Chandler, who I fell in love with during my very short scouting process. So why do you hate EJ Liddell? Is my first question. My top prospect, to be clear.
I don't hate him, to be clear. I have no personal qualms with EJ Liddell.
I don't think that's clear.
So here's the thing, right?
Yep.
So this guy, very, very small to be playing as a big, 6'7". He has a clunky handle. He's, like I said, he's undersized. From what I've seen from his college, he is relying on overpowering college opponents, which you are not going to be able to do in the NBA. 76% from the free throw line does not bode well for his 37.4% from deep this last season, junior year.
76 isn't bad.
It's not great.
It's about where most players we've looked at have been at.
I know, and I've said how I'm concerned about their shot.
Okay, fair.
So that's there. I don't know what he's going to do at the NBA level.
I think that despite... I don't know. I mean, the shot is certainly... It's a question mark with all these guys. I just found myself buying into it. I like that he has good touch. He has this really weird floater, but he tends to just make them. I mean, he's pretty efficient at Ohio State. 54% from 2, 37.5% from 3, as you mentioned, this last year. But I think his offense is sort of a question mark. The reason I like him so much is I think he could figure it out. He scored 19 and a half a game, and I think a lot of it was from the post. That's
bigger. Like, again, he's a lot of it was post work. What is he going to do that on the Bucks?
No, he's not. He's not going to do that. But I think the fact that some of it was size, but he also has touch around the basket, which I think can translate to finishing eventually.
Sure, but he needs the size to get to those spots, though, which he's not going to have.
Most players on the Bucks have space to operate in.
Like, are we clearing out for EJ Liddell here?
No, I'm saying he off a catch he goes to the rim. I'm not drawing up plays for him. I look at him as an off-ball player, but the upside is defensive. He is he's listed at 6'7". I think his actual height is 6'6", so he's not very tall. 6'5" and a half, but he has nearly a 7-foot wingspan. He makes insane chase down blocks. He's pretty athletic. I think Eason is more athletic, but EJ is pretty darn athletic as well. And I think Liddell is a very good rebounder who grabbed about 8 per game, 2.5 assists, so he moves the ball a little bit, 2.4 turnovers, probably because he's in the damn post all the time. But I see a player who I think would be a great fit with Giannis, mostly defensively, to enable those smaller lineups, especially if you can figure out the offense. And at least he's taken some threes per game. He's connected on a decent amount. That's clearly going to be the big swing skill for him. And if he doesn't develop it, he's never going to be an impact player for Milwaukee. But if he does, I think he could have a huge impact. I think I have him first because I think EJ Liddell is an okay three-point shot and decent finishing at the rim away from providing the biggest impact out of any of these players to Milwaukee. I think realistically, if Beauchamp is Paul George Jr., then he's bigger. But I think the realistic development, the 80% result or whatever, I think Liddell has the most to offer.
I don't know why I'm just out.
It's fascinating to me. When I saw the clips, I was like, this guy would be so fun next to Giannis on defense because he just goes and gets the basketball, whether it's blocking a shot or grabbing a rebound. And I think the 4-5 there would just be monstrous. Again, as with many of these players, offense is the question mark, and it's a significant one. Honestly, almost every player that we're talking about, like it's a lot of defenders, which maybe is good for the Bucks keeping the pick. The Bucks like these kind of players. But I am really high on him as a 4/5.
I also like his defensive abilities. I think he is an amazing rim protector. If you see his videos, you can tell he has a great footwork, defensive footwork. You can see how he times his blocks. He's really good at that, and especially the how do you call it, the break, the blocks on the break. Again, I understand why Rohan has some questions. He's not that big for his position. And I can see him working with Giannis in a smaller lineup, but I don't know how they can use him offensively. He's also not bad away from the basket. He's not going to be killed by smaller and quicker guards. I like this about him. So, for example, I think he would be better than Portis in this part of his game. But I can see why Rohan has some questions. I think he would be my number one if I had to make a list as well.
Claiming the dub.
Simply because of his defensive powers, because he's the first player, I think, today that we can say that, yeah, he's a good defender. So you can trust him to play some defense. Don't know about his offense, though, but he can work this out. I think they will have to find some more scoring from their guards this season either way. So it will be interesting to see if he can work out with his Bucks team. Again, I think he's going to be drafted quickly earlier, but I hope he goes to the Bucks.
I understand why you guys have him so high. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ignorant. Okay, like I understand.
You're ignorant.
Okay, sure. Tweet at Ty saying he's ignorant. That's how this works, right?
Yeah, probably.
Whenever I see him play, I see a guy who's it's not going to thrive at this level. Like, the tools are there. I recognize the tools that are there. I just see a lot of him leveraging his size. That's just not going to work.
Do you know who else is 6'5" with a 6'11.5" wingspan, Rohan?
Not me.
No, I wish me. PJ Tucker.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Do you really think?
No, I don't think he plays that much like PJ, but I just think that there is some evidence for a player with those measurables being able to play big, even if they're not that big by NBA standards.
Okay, him and who else?
Well, I'd have to look through a whole list now. It's unfair to throw the who else. There's a Bucks example.
Okay, but I think
Pat plays bigger than his height.
You want to use Pat and a PJ Tucker rule?
No, you're just saying players who can use. What about how tall is Bam? And no, I'm not saying that Liddell is going to be Bam. Bam is like 6'9" and plays center.
Yeah, but Bam's also like defensive player of the year worthy.
Yeah, and I don't think Liddell will be.
And
but
and can run an offense.
Well, yeah. Again, I'm not comparing them as players, but you just asked for players who are shorter with big wingspans.
That's true.
Who can
Okay, that's true.
Thrive physically.
But those players rely on being superb at what they do. I just don't see that with Liddell.
I see the vision. Defensively. Offensively, it would be, I think the best comp with PJ is the similar size and the fact that it's like the defense is great, the offense we need to figure out. That's true. That's the end of the PJ comp. I don't think they're the same player, but I think that's the role the Bucks would be in with these guys.
That's fair. Are you happy we got through EJ?
Yeah, I have one more player I really care about, then we can speed through the last two. I hope we have the same last two. We might not, actually.
We don't.
Oh my God.
Next is Jovic.
I knew you'd have Jovic. You're gonna have Jovic, Chandler, Baldwin.
Yes.
You're sick. What, Jovic? Really?
He's such a good playmaker.
I know.
Like, you have to be really, really good at something. He's really, really good as a facilitator. Like, the rest of it's not great. Don't get me wrong. That's why he's so low. But he's already great at something.
Yeah. I don't know.
I like him too.
Thank you.
I think it's worth the risk. I don't think he can come in and play right away, but when you have a guy that has a great background and you look at him and people compare him to Jokic, even if he never reaches the potential of Jokic, even if he's at 70% of Jokic's abilities or 65% or 60%, he's still going to be a good player for the Bucks. I like the risk with these European guys. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But when they work, they usually are pretty good players. He's a great passer. He can score from mid-range as well. I like him. I think it's the kind of player that it's worth the risk. Certainly.
For a guy who you just know is not going to be ready in a year, maybe 2 years, and maybe he comes over, but I mean ready to actually play. I just don't see the Bucks being able to really get the most out of him. I'm going to be interested to watch his career, but it's like highly touted, probably more skilled, younger Mamu. And we're just seeing like it's been really hard for them, I think, to figure out how Mamu fits. And I think it would be with Jovic too.
You know who he reminds me of? Like in terms of like pick and like where he would go like really well?
Who?
Şengün. It's like if you go to a team like the Rockets, who's like super like they'll take anyone and let them do whatever they want. He'd be great for those teams, just not on the Bucks. But
I think he'd be a fun Spur.
Ooh.
They're not one of those teams, but they have 3 firsts, and I think that they'd be fun. I mean, Spurs love Euros who can pass. That is like literally that's 100% Jovic right now, and that's all that you're getting for sure. He can't
even score like himself. He'll set other people up, but like it's just like that. That's it. You're not getting anything else.
It'd be crazy if the Thunder drafted him at 30, Chet at 2. And then they had like a Chet, Paku, Jovic lineup.
That'd be amazing.
It would get outscored by 1 billion. I'm intrigued by Jovic.
It'd be fun, though.
It would be fun.
Then they can get Wemby.
Oh, God. Wemby is a monster.
But yeah, second to last, penultimate on my board, like you said, Ty, is Kennedy Chandler.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this.
He's too small.
Yeah, 5'11" without shoes.
You're going to get picked on no matter what. It's just like I'm sorry.
He fights.
But sure, he can fight. DJ Augustine fought.
No, let's not. I know the Bucks have only had one other tiny point guard in recent memories. Let's not do this.
Okay, sure. Like defense wasn't the only problem with DJ Augustine.
I know, and that's the difference between the players. Kennedy Chandler, you talked about one skill. The way he finishes, like the looks he generates, the looks he converts, I should say, at the rim are very intriguing. He gets downhill. He floats it off the glass. He converts. He's young. I don't know. I don't think the Bucks would ever.
32% on floaters, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has to build out his range.
That's like if you're that small and you're shooting that poorly on floaters, what do you do?
Layups and passing.
At the NBA level, he's not that. I wrote he's fast as F boy, but like he's not that fast.
I think he's got a good. I don't know. I like him. I liked what I saw. The clips really sold me.
It's just like apologies to all the short kings out there, but like just your size just discredits you.
It's kind of rude of you.
It's I don't know. I recognize you. We love you, just not at this level.
Yeah, I think he's too small.
Exactly.
I don't think Bud is ever going to pick a guy like him.
I don't either. I don't think they'll ever take him. I'd be really surprised. He is probably the most likely guy to fall to like 50, and everyone like me is like, how could this happen? It's because he's 5'11". That's how.
He's also not a great pull-up shooter, I think.
He can't shoot.
So,
that's the pull-up threes are a huge issue for him.
Small guy who can't shoot and can't hit floaters.
50% from two, though.
That's a red flag.
Dog.
He can shoot. He can't shoot pull-up. He shot 38% from three. He's a good catch-and-shoot player. Do you want a Bucks point guard off the bench shooting pull-up threes anyway, quite honestly?
I want them to be able to.
I guess.
60% from the free throw line also.
Yeah, it's a concern. He didn't get there very often, which makes sense given the size. It's a small sample. It's all small samples. He only played 1 year.
Small sample because he's small.
Yeah.
Nice. Last on both of our lists is Patrick Baldwin Jr.
Hurts, man. It hurts. Our boy.
He went to UW Milwaukee.
He's going to be the last player on any first-round mock draft to go there after how it went.
Yeah, it didn't go great. I mean, he played for his dad. His dad was the coach.
His dad got fired. Yeah.
Just a tough scene. Like, this guy is like Michael Porter Jr. if you tried to draw him from memory, like his basketball ability, and also just like fully took away his hamstrings, his knees, his back, and just everything. So basically, you're left with the 6'9" guy who knows how to shoot a basketball. Doesn't know how to make it go in, but knows how to shoot it.
There's a universe where he is Paul George, but we just don't live in it, I think.
There's a lot of universes where he's not Paul George.
Yeah. I think there's one where he is. I think like there's some the traits, the tools, whatever. Like there's clearly something there that like, oh yeah, like the way he plays, he should be good, but he's just not. And I just don't think he would ever be on the Bucks.
No, just like he's a ball stopper. Just like, again, is that a product of him playing for his dad in college? Maybe.
What a terrible series of decisions went into his year before the draft.
Just like he's not a willing passer, not efficient. Like he can get shot. Like theoretically, he's incredible, right? Because he's 6'9", he can get a shot.
Is he literally Jalen Johnson?
He might.
I was going to say, like, a team should do what Atlanta did and take him and put – that's pretty much what you have to do, I think, with Pat Baldwin is you draft him and you literally just put him on your G League team the whole year because he's not going to be ready to play. But I was like, oh, yeah, Atlanta did that with another player who played in Milwaukee and is, I think, very similar. I think Jaylen Johnson's better. Unfortunately, just got injured. But, yeah, I think if the Bucks drafted Patrick Baldwin Jr., it would be a disaster.
He had some of the lowest athleticism measures at the combine ever. Like his broad jump was comparable to Vucevic.
Oh God! Look how we massacred our boy.
No burst, no bounce, or any semblance of athleticism whatsoever.
Is he still mocked in the first?
Probably not.
I think he's around 33 or 34.
Yeah, he's not 30 in the mock draft. That KOC did. I'll see if I don't know if their big board goes lower or not. I mean, yeah,
he is 34 on KOC's big board.
Yeah, it's honestly a little high.
Yeah.
The first word is theoretical. I think that describes him perfectly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I was about to mention that. You guys both mentioned the word theoretical, and I couldn't agree more.
KOC's big board goes to 38.
I guess.
Who does a 38 player big board?
Kevin O'Connor.
That's such a weird number. KOC,
I think
shout
he's
out you.
added players as he's gone along.
I suppose, okay, it makes sense. I
I
mean,
think he started at 30 and added players.
I did an 11-player big board, so I guess I'm not really in a position to call it out too much.
Just, yeah, I wish he was good, man.
I know, but sadly.
It's just, like, is he current Michael Porter Jr.? Like, not even, like, drawn from memory, but, like, is he current? Because he can't play.
I was going to say, yeah, if you mean with the injuries, like, factored in, yes, probably.
That's sad.
If the Bucks
Who's
are
the
going
guy? Yeah, who's the guy you wish would fall? Both of you.
I don't think it's realistic, but I was literally just about to say before you mentioned that, if there's a player who played college in Wisconsin who the Bucks are going to draft, I'd much rather it somehow be Johnny Davis.
I was about to say the same.
Yeah. And that's real from Eugene because has no care for Wisconsin college. What I assume, maybe you do. Who knows? I would assume not. I don't think he gets past the Cavs because he'd be a really good Cav. I think I trust his defense a lot, and there's a lot of offense there. But he'd be a really fun pick for the Bucks.
I'd say AJ Griffin.
Wing player?
Yes, scoring wing. He might. The thing is, he might fall because he has a history of knee and ankle injuries. So there's a chance, potentially, maybe. I doubt it, considering he's mocked usually in the teens.
Yeah, 10 at KOC's big board.
Just he'd be so good. He's the prospect I'm the highest on.
Mark Williams, the center. Have either of you guys looked at him at all? I keep hearing about Mark Williams.
I love the name Mark Williams.
I know. It'd be fun if a nice center prospect fell.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
Him falling?
Yeah.
There's going to be someone, though, right? I mean, even we talked about, Eugene mentioned a few times, like, we don't expect some of these guys to make it to the Bucks. Like, Liddell is 18th mocked right now. Jovic, 20. Jaylen Williams, 21. Somebody that we're looking at is probably multiple players will, but even the ones we don't expect. Like, I don't think Liddell will be there. But you just never know. Or someone else, like Ty Washington has really been moving around a lot. That would be kind of a fun, if you're going to talk about point guards, I think that'd be a really fun pick. I don't expect that to happen, but it could.
It could.
I don't know. I think Liddell has a chance to fall because of his offensive limitations. Johnny Davis can also drop, but it's not going to be huge, I think.
Not that far.
Yeah.
I would be stunned. I mean, you never know. It's the draft. Crazy stuff happens.
But I saw some people having him in the 20s.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. I'm looking. Mark Williams has a 7'7" wingspan.
He's huge, dude. Apparently, he's got pretty good touch.
Guy.
Yeah, people have been penciling him into Charlotte for forever. But if Charlotte wants to mess around and trade for what's it called, Gobert or Miles Turner, still alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, easy to forget. I was reading the Jake Fisher's piece. Yeah.
He's building Lego version, like Darth Vader of himself, but it's like his face on Darth Vader and Legos. Have you guys seen that?
No, I've seen.
It's incredible.
I think he's had some sus TikToks.
He's done a lot of sus things.
Yeah. He's kind of too out here. I actually don't think I want him on the Bucks.
I don't want him in Charlotte.
I don't care about Charlotte.
I mean, like, look at what Miles Bridges is doing.
It'd be a fun collab.
That'd be wild. Let's go through our big board.
I was actually going to say let's do it this way, and then we can wrap. Let's share the line where we'd want the Bucks to make the pick versus trading down or trying to trade it for someone.
31 is literally the line.
No. I mean, out of the 11 players.
Oh.
Like, at what point? Because, I mean, there's a universe where, as much as we'd like them to take it, if all the guys we like are gone, I don't know. Maybe you think differently. I would rather have them traded at that point than take someone that we don't really think is going to be good.
I think they should make a pick regardless.
Okay.
I just want them to make a draft pick. Like a solid draft pick. Like, I don't care who, just make the pick. So I'm not really in trading it.
Yeah, I don't only want them to draft a player. I actually want to see them play a rookie.
Yeah.
After a lot of seasons, and after Don't, I think they haven't really given a role to a rookie.
Yeah, I suppose I agree. I'd have to go pretty low. I think anyone besides Jovic and Baldwin on this list,
And Chandler.
I'd be okay with Chandler. I think it'd be fun. I don't think they would ever take him.
It's a no from me.
So if Kenny Chandler goes 19, you're pumping your fist.
Yeah.
That would be good.
That'd be wild.
We need Pat Baldwin to be this year's Don.
Oh, God.
Pat Baldwin go to the Hornets and just mess up the whole draft, please. It's possible, though. These things are possible.
It is possible. Someone's going to talk themselves into it, aren't they?
Probably, maybe. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I don't know.
But, like, what if the Hornets love Coloco? And then it's like, whoa, how long does Mark Williams go? Because not that many teams draft centers. I don't know. Draft could get interesting.
The Bucks trade up?
I was thinking about that. I'd be pretty surprised because what are you going to give up?
Seconds?
I don't know how far that gets you.
I don't think it really moves the needle that much.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks, they have one Pacers second left, which is probably their only second anyone really cares about.
Yeah, plus whatever they got in the Dante trade.
Oh, yeah, it's a good point. Hold on.
I think trading with OKC for the 30th pick.
Give us JaMychal Green, too. Why not?
Kenny Hustle?
Well, yes.
Oh, yeah, him too.
Just give us all that stuff. Would you trade 24 for 30 and one of those two forwards?
It'd have to be Kenrich Williams then.
Yes, I agree with Rohan.
Could move some salary out.
You gotta get JaMychal Green. Like, he just got to OKC. You got to give him a year.
His contract's up in a year. They'll probably trade him in February. Grayson and 24 for 30 and Kenny Hustle.
I think that's selling. I don't know.
No, I don't think they will be interested in getting a player back. I think they will just ask for something like, but then you have to trade someone to make the salary.
George Hill. That's basically waive George Hill. That would be
just
the money.
Send George back to Oklahoma.
Oh, poor George.
Again.
Poor guy. The Bucks' second stink. So the less favorable of next year's second between Cleveland and Golden State. So that is in the 50s for sure. Like, it's one of those two teams is going to be pretty damn good. 24 from Portland is pretty good. 25 from Indiana. So they have two solid incoming seconds plus their own seconds in 23, 24, 27, and then from there on. But their own seconds near term are going to have little value because everyone knows the NBA will just take them.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't see them trading. I don't really see them trading up. I could see them trading down to maybe 31.
If they did that, I wouldn't be that mad. If they trade down to 50s again, I'll be pretty upset.
I'd be upset. I'd be very upset.
I'm so afraid they are actually going to do that.
I know. It's going to be fascinating. I'll say that. And if they get Micic, that'll be fascinating too. I know that was he and Bucks and Chicago were the two teams who are sniffing around him with OKC. They have his draft rights, but you have to trade for him and then sign him. And it'd basically just be like a free agent at that point. It's interesting for sure, but just get through the draft. Don't trade 24 for Micic, please. That's my ask. Eugene's interested. I want a younger player who's under team control for longer. That's my thing.
Yeah.
You can get him for much less than 24.
Yeah, I don't know because he won't play for OKC. So I don't know how much value they actually get out of. I mean, if you can trade the Cleveland Golden State second, then yeah, I'd absolutely give him a shot if he wants to play for Milwaukee. It's just an interesting situation.
It is for sure. We were going to go through our big boards finally.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
So you go first.
All right. So EJ Liddell first. I feel good about that. Walker Kessler second. I feel good about that. Christian Brown third. I feel okay about it. Kennedy Chandler fourth. I feel okay about it. You're trying to get me to say no. I believe. I was an Isaiah Thomas
I didn't try to do anything.
My tiny kings out there, I'm on your side. Tari Issa in fifth. Coloco sixth. Jaylen Williams seven. Dalen Terry. I kept wanting to say Jaylen again. 8. Beauchamp 9. I'm missing a number, but Jovic Baldwin.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
And my final board is Coloco first, Marjan Beauchamp second, Walker Kessler third, Dalen Terry 4, Christian Brown 5, Tari Issa 6, Jaylen Williams 7, EJ Liddell 8, Nikola Jovic 9, Kennedy Chandler 10, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. 11.
There you have it. I'll make a graphic, so you won't have to worry about hearing us. I'll tweet the graphic, probably from the pod account. But that's our big boards.
That's our big board. We do have one more thing, Ty.
Oh, yeah.
We got Choose Your Fighter.
Is it my turn?
No, it's my turn.
Oh, good.
I'm pretty sure it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay. So we are experiencing in Wisconsin a heat wave. It's very hot and humid, sticky. It's not pleasant. So right now, as the YouTube viewers have seen, out of this beautiful Cruising for a Bruising glass, I've been drinking some iced tea from it. I want to know what's your go-to on a super, super hot day? Are you going for like an ice cream? Are you going for a drink, like an iced tea or lemonade, any sort of drink? Or are you going for necessarily I don't know, like some sort of like bigger snack or something? Like neither of the two. You don't want to eat anything cool.
What's a bigger snack?
Like literally nothing cool. Nothing cold.
This is maybe the worst one. I feel like you started
I have a second question too.
And then you realized that you had just done summer beverages like 2 weeks ago?
No. I have a second. It's a two-parter. So the second question is that, are you guys sitting outside enjoying the heat, or are you inside? Let's go with that one first.
I'm inside when it's this hot. I'm outside like 80s, lower 80s especially. I don't love to be outside when it's super hot, but I'll be inside. I'll say cool drink. I'm tempted to say bigger snack because I just find it like hilarious. Like the options are iced tea, ice cream, or pizza.
Let me explain myself. Okay?
Yeah, I have no idea what this is.
So basically, I was trying to say nothing cool, nothing cold. Like not a cool drink, not like an ice cream or anything.
No, sparkling water cools me down. That's what my go-to on a hot day is. Nice sparkling water.
There was this time. It was a long time ago. I was visiting India, right? Visiting the family. We were at a family friend's house. And one thing that sort of happens, it's less common now, is like the power goes out. So you're just left with no AC, no fan, and it's like 100+ degrees. Plus, it's like the monsoon season, so it's super, super humid as well. And I just remember it was a super, super bad day. It was a really bad day. We were at a family friend's house, and then like this family friend just offered jalebi. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's like a dessert. It's like this like orange gooey sort of, it's way too sweet. Look at this. There's a song. There's a Tesher song. Tesher, Jason Derulo remix. Jalebi Baby.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what
I don't know the song. Is it kind of like a flan texture?
No.
What is it? Describe it more.
It's just like, it's soft and sticky.
I might have had this.
Okay.
Would it be served in like a little like styrofoam cup? And you kind of get it with a spoon?
Sure. Maybe. Not really.
No? Maybe not. I have a picture, I think. I'll send you the picture later.
Okay, send me the picture. But that's why I say something else, because I literally have a story behind it. Because I was so confused why I was being offered this because of the heat. And I was like, maybe this is just something people do. They just get like some other thing, not like a cold drink or not like an ice cream or something. So that's why it's an option. Okay.
I just sent you the pic. Eugene, I'm saying cold drink inside.
No.
I love ice cream. When summer comes, I can eat multiple ice creams per day. It's not good for me, and I know it.
Who cares?
But especially when we have exam, because it's an exam period now, I can't handle myself. I need to eat ice cream. Sometimes I literally go crazy if we don't have ice cream at home. I have to go out and go buy ice cream. So I would choose ice cream every day. But for your second part of the question, if sitting inside or outside, you need to be specific. Do I have air conditioning in the house? So?
Yes. Yes, it's assumed that you have a method like a fan, or at least a fan or something.
You're adequately cooled.
Yeah.
I think I'm sitting outside. I don't love air conditioning. Yeah, because here in Greece we are a little used to hot weather, especially in the summer. So it doesn't really affect me a lot. And I also think that when air conditioning is on, I feel weird. I feel like the air is not natural. I don't know. Does anyone else have this, or is it just me? I just feel cold. I don't enjoy air conditioning.
I love it.
That's the point.
I'm a sicko. I love it.
I don't know.
I see what you're saying. I don't
like
think
the
it's
recycled
weird.
air.
I'm a sicko for AC. Like, it's totally unnatural. It's not right. I like it.
For example, in our house, during the summer, every window is open. Every single window around the house is open. It's like a sip some days. Doors are banging and everything. We just don't use AC. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. I like my AC. I get warm.
Yeah, I'm not sitting outside. Yeah, I don't get sunburned again. Shout out to the brown.
It feels like you're rubbing it in to me specifically at this point.
It's like one thing I can flex with.
I clock in with a reddened face every other damn pod. And Rohan's just like, by the way, can't happen to me. You enjoy golden hour? Oh, wait. You probably wouldn't, would you? I'm like, no, I don't actually. The only part I enjoy is seeing your little tweets. I click like and move on with my day, knowing that will never be me. Do you know how hard? No, never mind. I was gonna make a joke. No, I don't want to be taken out of context. That it's clearly sarcasm. No.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
But so Eugene, you're outside with ice cream. Ty, you're inside with what?
Sparkling water.
Sparkling water, interesting.
Bubbly. Apple, but it's impossible to find.
Oh my god.
I just don't like sparkling water.
Love it. Flavored sparkling water. Not straight up.
I hate it.
It's got to be flavored.
Thank you, Eugene.
It's also unnatural.
Exactly.
How?
I'm inside with like an iced tea, which I am right now.
Yeah, you love iced tea.
But how? For example, like you're sitting on a hot afternoon, and who goes, man, I wish I had sparkling water.
Me. It's very refreshing. Again, I want to make it clear, not like a Perrier. It's specifically one of the flavored. It's got flavor. It's not just sparkling water.
I have no idea why this concept even exists.
I'm going to send you one can of apple bubbly. Your mind's going to be changed. It's going to cost me $300, but it'll be worth it.
I don't know.
Okay, I think that's a great place to wrap this up. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on the Gyro Step Podcast Network. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating on your podcast platform of choice. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening, whether that's YouTube, whether that's your aforementioned podcast platform of choice. Check out gspn.info. That has all of our links. It also has our Bucks off-season simulator, which you guys can still play. We're still getting some mentions in there. You guys seem to really enjoy that. I'm glad to see that. Make sure you are checking out everything else on gspn.info, Substack. If you're not on YouTube, checking that out. Check out all of our Twitters. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.